welcome to another episode of RTAF Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Norris. Thanks for being here. And to start off this intro, I want to give some shout to our newest patrons. That's right, we've got 3 new patrons this week. Thank you all so much for supporting the podcast. If you'd like to support the podcast, head on over to patreon.com/RTAF podcast, where I have 3 separate tiers, $4, $8, and $16 per tier with various benefits in each. Go check those out, and if you feel so inclined, please do subscribe. This week, our newest patrons are Chris McCall. His social media handle is @ChrisMcCallArt on Instagram. He's making some cool and colorful sci-fi imagery with oil pastels over there. Nice work, Chris. Thanks for subscribing. We also have John Endicott. John, if you're listening, throw me your social media handle and I will put it in next week's intro. And we also have the man, Josh Chapkis, and that's @ChapkisArt on Instagram. If you're wondering how to spell that, check the description. This man has been hustling, grinding. He makes frames. I've used him twice for some hand-built frames, and he also makes some really dope art using spray paint, masking, lots of cool shapes and nice colors in there. He was also in the Threda show with me. So shouts to you, Josh, and thank you for your support. This week, I have my good bud, mega homie, Randal Roberts, on the podcast. And yes, this is Randal's 3rd time on. Well, it's been over a full year since he's been on, and the other 2 times he was on with Morgan Mandala, his partner in crime, his partner in art, his partner in life. And this time it's just me and Randal. Randal swooped in, saved me from someone who canceled this week, and hopefully I will have her on very soon. Very excited about that guest. But I'm also very excited about this podcast with Randal. We get into some conspiracies, just playing around with those. We talk about a good way to frame your life with the number of days you have left. I thought that was really interesting. And we talk about a lot more. I found this episode very fun, very comfortable, very relaxed for me. And it's always nice to have friends who have your back, who are down to just hang out with you, basically, in front of mics and a video camera that are recording. Speaking of video camera, that is part of the deal on Patreon. So please do go check that out. It's patreon.com/RTAF. And please enjoy this episode with Randal Roberts. He's so tall.
Dude, did you see him duck in that fucking doorway? He's like 6'7" or something.
Yeah.
In the doorway to the
He
apartment.
must be huge.
He fucking like has to duck a little bit to get through it. We watched that awesome movie where the girl dresses up like a nurse and kills all of the people that wronged her and shit.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Promising Young Woman.
Yeah?
It's a dope. He's in it. And it's
Is he?
Yeah, it's a dope movie.
Nice. Welcome, Randal.
Hello, Andrew.
That was a little banter before the official podcast startup. Thanks for coming down, man.
Oh,
really appreciate you.
I want to hang out with you as much as possible.
Cheers.
Cheers, bud.
We're drinking a non-sponsored beer. So,
yeah, they're not from Colorado.
No.
And they don't have cool art on the can.
They've got really cool art, actually.
Yeah.
You know who hasn't Kevin made some art for some beer companies? Our friend Mr. Melty.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I'm not sure of a specific brand, but he's always busy doing this and that.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to get on a wine bottle or a beer can. I've just never been asked.
Yeah.
Actually, I am doing it looks like I'll be doing these like CBD fizzy drinks. This company's making sort of like like CBD like White Claws.
Oh yeah.
And and they're they're putting my little happy dudes on the can.
Sweet.
And, yeah, the guy just sent me a mock-up recently, and I'm gonna work with them on a fair price because it looks so cool.
Hell yeah.
And I'm like, hell yeah, this is gonna be great. So yeah, I am actually gonna have stuff on the can.
Congrats.
Yeah, congrats.
Congrats. You make me so proud.
Oh,
That's one thing I got to work on is like diversifying just the skills and the merchandise and the licensing and all that kind of stuff.
I don't like doing Photoshop stuff and getting it all ready and stuff, you know. Not really. Other than color correcting for prints, I'm comfortable with that. But real design work, I'm kind of shit at it. Usually have a second party come in and do the word or whatever.
You're not shit. You just haven't tried that much. Right?
Yeah, it also doesn't like excite me very much.
Doesn't spark joy.
Yeah, I like just doing words.
Yeah.
Yeah, my understanding of art and creativity is all on just paper or canvas.
Right.
No borders and labels and things. It's tricky.
Yeah, for sure. That's something that I would like to work on. It seems like a nice way to get a little bit more income as an artist.
Yeah, the other night we were talking to this artist couple who've really come along, and they're just doing like murals and getting paid decent to do them.
Chanel and Brian.
Chanel and Brian. Yeah,
shouts.
Yeah, watch out! They're coming at the scene. And they're just sort of getting into living on art, and we were talking about casting a wide net and getting a whole bunch of little fish. So you do try everything, try making flip-flops and shirts for a while, but never invest too much in each thing, and then
just see what takes off.
What pans off. Yeah, it's like planting seeds for the garden. There's whatever ones you plant 5, and one of them grows up to be an adult.
Yeah. How's gardening been going?
Oh man, we're going crazy up there with garden. We started last year during COVID because we thought the supermarkets might close,
right.
And we looked up like victory gardens from the Depression era. What are the 5 things we should grow if, everyone was freaking out back in February and March.
Sure.
So yeah, we went crazy on potatoes and beans and learned a lot. Shout out to Epic Gardening and Self-Sufficient Me, these YouTube channels. They're fucking awesome. And James Prigioni from New Jersey. I love those guys. They're like artists of YouTube gardening videos.
Yeah.
They're I got way into just learning about that. And each species has its own quirks.
Yeah.
And it's over a course of probably a decade that you can confidently then produce those plants. Because, everything goes wrong, sideways for, different reasons. And then we're gardening at altitude in particularly dry, like where we are on this side of the hill, it's all ferns and moss because the sun never hits it. And on our side of the hill, it's cactuses and sand because the sun is always hitting it. So it's tricky because a lot of plants like to have the soil stay kind of damp. And if you, it just evaporates so fast. So that's what we're like messing around with, is trying to keep the soil in the right place.
Yeah.
It's I spend 4 hours a day fucking around in the garden. And
do you find any like parallels between that and making art or painting?
In as much as like remaining content, like you can develop a painting habit where like it's your happy place to be at the easel,
Yeah.
Get everything just right, music's just right, and then you paint in like 3 hour mark. You kind of get where you want to be. And then gardening's provides that same really warm and fuzzy place, but it's a completely different. It's like nature's like you're hanging out with nature. You're hanging out with worms and dirt and wind and. We're all in this day and age prone to being inside and stuck on the laptop, and so that, along with like meditation and shit, has really been like helpful for me to just chill out and ground out. And I really love gardening. And we're not going like apocalypse, but if that ever happened, I'll have a leg up.
You'd
on
have a
everybody
buffer.
else. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, guys with shotguns would just come and take our fucking vegetables. So
Well, you remember last year when we were talking about getting, shotguns and solar generators.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still something you think about?
Solar generator, yeah. I experience depression to a level sometimes where owning a gun isn't a good idea for me, which is a lot to admit. But
Yeah.
and we have weapons. We're able to defend our space, and we're very close to the fire department place there, and there's always cops there and stuff. But I don't want to own a gun.
Yeah.
I think at some point I would sit on the edge of my bed and just put it up to my head and just see what that felt like.
Mm.
And if I was,
That's rough, man.
Yeah. I'm not always like that.
Well, yeah, I know.
I'm usually pretty content, but suicide crossed we have a good friend who killed himself.
Right.
I have another dear friend who OD'd last year. And I was really close to these guys, and so death has been on my mind a lot. And then as I age, I'm also looking at like where this is all going. And if you're lucky, if you're one of the luckiest ones, all of the people you love die, and your body completely falls apart, and it's a challenge for you to get out of a chair, go to the refrigerator, and get an apple. So, I mean, I don't want to get too dark here.
No, let's go. Let's go in.
Yeah, it's like that riddle of should I pull the plug before all that happens has consumed my thoughts a lot, and it mostly because kicked off by like my friends dying.
Yeah.
I don't hate my life. In fact, I'm the thing that makes me so depressed is that I love life so much.
That all the bad shit and
I'm very disappointed in the least of the human race. All the scumbag losers who are bringing down the ship for the rest of us, and I'm very, very sad that this is going to end someday.
But don't you want to see how it ends?
Oh yeah. I'm committed to. I should probably get a gun. I'm not going to shoot myself. I love guns. They're fun. They're fucking fun. I've shot them before, but yeah. I've also just experienced super low times where But I know how to combat that now. Get out of the house and go for a walk. For those of you who are experiencing depression, change the channel is the best tool that I've come across, and the simplest way to do that is just go for a nice long walk outside, whether there's snow or rain or shine. And usually that does it. You're all right for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of other podcasts, kind of as studying and kind of just to hear what I guess for lack of a better word, my betters are doing with their lives and kind of little routines they do. And there's two things that almost every single person that I admire has in common. And one of them is going for a walk. And the other, mostly men that I listen to say this, but they say that a little bit of weight training goes a long way, throwing weights around. And
yeah, it's hard to get yourself to do that shit in the winter.
But I
have a kettlebell by my bed, and I look at it every day in January.
You're is it a nice paperweight or something?
No, I use this sometimes, but I like to, because we live on a mountain that requires tree tending and all this stuff.
Oh, so you're homesteading a little bit.
Yeah,
up there,
I really like chopping wood. We live on a huge hill, and all the trees that need to be cut down are at the bottom of the hill.
That hill is rough. By the way,
I'll cut down a tree and flip this log up this hill.
Okay.
And then chop it into firewood. It takes about 2 hours. It's constant. It's a little injury prone. I'll pull my shoulder out or something, which kind of blows. But that's how I like to work out.
Yeah.
Because you get something done at the end of it. The running on a treadmill is where are you going? You're not going anywhere. Combine it with with like accomplishing something. That at least that's the thing that motivates me.
It's a good psychological trick for sure.
But then you're fucked in the winter. Oh, thank you. I really struggle with the winter, just sitting around. But this was a particularly crappy year with there's so many bombastic things happening on Reddit and
Reddit.
Yeah.
What's your favorite subreddit?
Your Mom's House podcast subreddit is off the hook.
Shouts.
I like Today I Learned a lot. I've gotten it down to like semi-healthy shit.
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. Do you post on Reddit?
I have. It's hard to self-promote artwork on there.
It is. A lot of the groups are like, do not link anything. Don't even say the word sale.
Right. I'm lucky enough to be popular enough where if I come across my art that someone else posted, I'll say, hey, I'm the guy who made that. Thanks so much. And that's about my participation. And groups like Heavy Mind, Psychonaut, they've been really good to me. And
for sure.
I like it. But one time I posted a print sale on there, and they told me where to go. The crowd was like, get the fuck out of here with your sale,
Ooh.
So I was like, I thought you guys liked my art, but
they're like, not anymore.
Yeah. But Reddit's a weird one. I've posted other shit that's gotten a lot of traction that is sort of like not related to my art,
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's very compelling, this, newspaper of the world with the constant changing every day new headlines. And about cool memes and different shit like a week, 2 weeks before everybody on Facebook knows,
Yeah.
And I know like behind Reddit is like, 4chan and, they're really like brand. That's where the memes are being made.
Yeah.
And then they hit Reddit and then they hit Facebook.
Did you watch that QAnon documentary?
I've had my fill with QAnon. I've gleaned the gist.
Yeah.
I have gathered the gist of the film, and I won't give QAnon another minute of my time. Meaning,
fair enough.
I was never into it. I mean, I'm just so fucking sick of
hearing
stupid
about it.
Just conspiracies that are just like fucking on the face. Just like, what are you fucking talking about?
Well,
like,
basically, the TLDR for that that I gleaned from it was like, it's the two guys, father and son, who run 8chan, who basically started the whole thing. Father is former CIA, former military. And to me, that, if I'm going to use my powers of deduction, that basically makes it a psyop. Not to get all, what would you call that? Alt conspiracy or something. But, anyway.
Well, I mean, but on its face, the formula that Q used, I think, is a venomous mold on the collective consciousness of people using the internet. If you step away from this interview to go to the bathroom, say, and
which I will do,
while you're gone, I go, where did he go? How do we know he's really in the bathroom? and just do a list of questions. It's really easy to just throw. They're just throwing like a handful of nails into the machine of society, and everything is suspect. There are strange coincidences between so many things, and like, I know a lot of people. I've made it my business in the last 10 years to meet as many people as I can.
Yeah,
I've never met anyone who's. I've met drug dealers, all kinds of people, billionaires. I know a lot of people, and I think I'm pretty good at reading people. And in my opinion, I don't think as many people are as involved in conspiracy as you would be led to think online.
Yeah. But I think when something like that comes up, especially since it's like centered around Trump, it seems like a convenient thing for the people who are supporting Trump to just kind of jump on with. And
if you think that guy's a secret superhero, you're a fucking moron.
Yeah,
sorry.
Absolutely. Anyway.
What are you looking at? You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
I just don't get it, man. I'm sorry.
Man, we got off on a tangent there.
I'm sorry, guy. It's okay. It's all right. You know.
I don't think we have any.
The Earth is flat and Trump is a superhero.
Look, man, 300 people listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
I
and
really
10 of them are QAnon.
But you just said that there are less of them than we're led to believe, right? But if you're QAnon, like, I have sympathy for all, or at least compassion for anyone who falls prey to propaganda, because there's propaganda coming at you from every which way, and if it just so happens that it comes at you from the way that you're already leaning, then you're gonna believe it, I think.
I'll also say, look, man, I'm not a fucking sheep. You know what I mean? Like, there are conspiracies.
Of course.
Building 7 drives me fucking insane.
Yeah.
There are real cabals of businesses, everything from breakfast cereal companies all the way through to Lockheed and Martin, man. People are really doing fucked up shit. But percentages, first off, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Who gives a shit? Do you care that there's a 3-year-old kid in Denver getting beaten up by his mom every night? Are you going to go? You know what I'm saying? Like,
theoretically, yes.
Yes. Theoretically, I care about that too.
Right.
But what can I do about it? Hunt the streets, drive back and forth,
Batman.
listening for someone crying,
Batman.
and try. Yeah. So, like, in the same vein, if we are slaves of some secret group of fat old white man, the fucking shackles are real loose and the fences are really far away, so much so that I actually don't give a fuck. They don't.
True that.
They don't come in. It doesn't come into play. And if they want to drink blood and go to the 4th dimension or whatever the fuck they're doing, good.
Well,
as far as I know, they have to poop every morning and they're gonna die too. So fuck them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck them, man.
That's kind of where I'm at too.
We all have it really good, you know.
Yeah.
These conspiracies
to the rest of the
aren't
world.
fucking up your trip to Whole Foods to get a boba tea. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you talking about? They're coming after you. You can have your choice of, like, organic chicken in 5 minutes delivered to your house at the click of a button on your laptop with pretend money from your fucking credit card. Like,
yeah,
who is coming after you? You know, it drives me insane.
Yeah. Yeah. No, go in.
I have a friend who's into the new one is the mud flood theory. You know, that this mud came through and covered buildings that weren't actually constructed in the 1800s and 1700s, whatever. There's some in America, United States. So that the pioneers got here, there were these amazing edifice buildings in place already from some other...
It's like some ancient civilization.
Yeah, some
shit.
Atlantis kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
They moved in and then told everyone, hey, look what we built. And the way that you know that these buildings are old is because on a lot of them, the street meets the bottom window's fucked up, and if you were to dig away the street, there's actually a whole other floor down there.
And there's little green men, like...
No, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you dug away the street, you see this building, and that's the sort of inspired, and the mud flood is a new one, so they're like, we don't know what this incident was, and we don't know what, but what we do know is it's weird that the roads all go up to the house. So
right, there is this phenomenon, right? Like Carl Jung talked about it, that this is just what humans do, is they peer out into the world and there's things that they know and they're taking a advantage of the horizon, and then they see a dark place that they're like, I can't really see in there, but then your mind just populates that place with the imagination, more or less.
Yeah, because of a million years of human evolution.
And it's a great way to survive if you're like, there's bears in them woods, like that kind of shit.
Yeah, stay out of the dark cave, or at least be on your fucking toes.
Yeah. And so I do have like sympathy for people who fall into conspiracies, because maybe they should probably start with something like, I don't know, like the CIA or American imperialism or any type of like world economic system.
There's plenty of real ones going on.
Yeah.
Plenty.
Yeah.
So the ice wall where Atlantis, let me just finish that point.
Yes.
So I after a few days of talking about this, I was like, why don't you interview an architect to my friend?
Yeah.
And he was like, no, it's more fun to just explore.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, yeah, but like
yeah.
the architect teacher at Stanford will be able to tell you in 5 fucking minutes why
Right.
the roads come up to the to the building, or go get a summer job at a construction company and build buildings. I happen to think that it's because they pave the road over and over and over again, especially in places like Europe, and it ends up going up the building. I don't know. I love you, buddy. Keep going with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's at a certain point it just becomes like a hobby to occupy your time and your mind.
Yeah.
And this is why, to bring it back, we need art.
Yeah. Well, if you're doing art, I don't think you get like into chemtrails too much.
Yeah.
I know people that are like way.
They do. I mean,
but they're way into chemtrails, way into flat Earth, the whole thing,
and way into art too.
And way into art, maybe like Mir One or something. But
yeah,
I mean,
but I'm sure if we talked to Mir One, he'd sound like pretty sane. I think.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, man. Yeah. Don't let me shit on, like.
Stop shitting.
I have some kind of like bug up in my bonnet about. I guess to put a fine point on it is, we could just be doing so much better, and this is a lot of these things are a wild distraction.
That's what I'm saying.
If you want to work on a conspiracy, stop. Maybe jump on a sex trafficking watch list and get fucking going. Go do something.
Yeah.
Help these fucking 14-year-old Russian girls that are getting brought into the country and put in brothels. That's a real conspiracy. That's really happening, and you can do something about it. Don't just post like, oh, the Boulder shooting was a false flag, and this is why, and oh, you're so smart, and you're getting so much done with these stupid fucking,
yeah, it's like, where do you start?
Laptop warrior shit.
With this huge, gigantic worldwide conspiracy. Like, how do you dismantle that? I mean, that's been my question all along is like, if this is all true, which I'm willing to keep an open mind about some of it, then like, where do you start? Is just talking about it and telling everybody about it and feeling like you have the upper hand on everyone because you have the secret knowledge? Is that enough? I mean, I don't think so.
It doesn't get a lot done. Unfortunately, I think it's a real slow burn.
Yeah.
There's that Buddhist like anecdote of the dove that flies over the mountain with a silk scarf.
Yeah.
In its beak, the mountain is 100 miles wide and 100 miles high. And once every 100 years, this bird flies over and drapes the scarf over the top of the mountain. And when the mountain's worn down to the ground, that's when we'll all be liberated and out of the wheel of. And so, unfortunately, I think the solution is just do the best with your own life that you can and try to be as kind and to yourself and to everyone around you as you can. And then in maybe 2,000 years, it's because it's like addictive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being an asshole is addictive and affects everyone around you, and being kind and does too. And I really think it's not a very satisfactory answer.
Yeah.
But that's like,
well, who said it?
The cure.
I think maybe
the cure to war.
I'm going to misquote someone, but I think maybe Buckminster Fuller said, instead of trying to tear down the current system, you just build a better one so that it's super obvious to everyone that we're going to go with this system over here. And there's that difference between building and tearing down. And I think like tearing down just, I don't know. If you want to do that and make that your brand, no one can really stop you these days. But for me, I think that building something is just a lot more effective and a lot more helpful to more people.
Yeah. I mean, get busy getting creative. Like, if you're busy, like, you don't have time for bad people.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to run into people who are down and out, especially if you live in a big city and stuff. But
yeah,
my friend, my roommate in Oakland, my dear friend, she's fucking awesome. She would she made it an effort to say hello to everyone in Oakland that she passed on the street. Everyone, eye contact and hello. And I would like pull my hoodie over my face and like, don't hurt me, you know. And hanging out with her really helped me a lot to opening your heart to the world. No one ever spat at her or hit her. She was really brave, and I really think that's what you can do.
Yeah.
Smile, look everyone in the eye, at least give them a chance and say hello.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you just never know how your mood is going to affect others, right?
I mean, there's lots of accounts, you know, of people on their way to the bridge to jump, and someone said hello or had, you know, have a nice day, or held the door for them, and they were like, you know what, I'm gonna go back to the apartment. I'm good. Yeah.
Well, it's like to kind of jump to our next topic that I definitely want to touch on with you. In the Bo Burnham special.
Real quick before we go.
Yeah.
Also question everything. Take what I said with a grain of salt about conspiracies.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Like anything you can ever say, there's always a flip side to it.
Yeah.
There's
even
always
long form conversation can't iron it all out. Like
right.
This is a 10-year conversation we as friends we're having, and there's different points crop up throughout this idea that, you know, and that's something that online is like really struggling with right now, and the whole world is struggling with. He said this then, and then kill him, you know, and and that's just like, we got to cut that shit out. Give everybody 10 years to finish their point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That is a very good point.
Yeah. And everybody shut the fuck up. Don't comment on this video. Shut the fuck up.
Well, speaking of video, I'm gonna go reset it. My producer Mike is off today. I gave him the day off. You know, I'm a good employer. So hang on. If you want to riff,
Oh yeah. Try to make art every day, whatever that means to you, and be nice to yourself. Learn to be nice to yourself. I feel like the Live Life 365 guy. And eat eggs and whatever.
You want to talk about that guy?
Yeah, everybody go check out Live Life 365. It's a YouTube channel. It's been on since I think the first day that YouTube was put online. And that guy's awesome. We found him.
So
he's like,
I can't tell if this dude is okay. So can you give our listeners and me even just maybe a quick synopsis of this guy's whole brand? He's on YouTube.
Yeah, he's apparently
he's like a middle-aged white guy.
Yeah, from New
who
Jersey,
seems like
I think.
Retired.
He's definitely wealthy. His kitchen is fucking tight. The marble counters and shit. And yeah, he's sort of a self-fashioned, you know, like Tony Robbins kind of guy who wants to create a sort of strategy for you to have a better life. And in the same, you know, and so he has lists of things. A lot of it's centered around food, of just how to enjoy each moment. And like, he's kind of adorable and sort of charismatic in a strange way, but there's something very off about him because he never gets to a point or really articulates what the program is. And then he has like literally hundreds of videos of like, let me tell you about how to eat a healthy egg sandwich, you know? And then he'll just make an egg sandwich. And he said, you know, this is bread. This is
bread
cheese.
Comes from wheat. No, but he'll like, what I love that this guy does, sorry about the audio there, but what I love that this guy does is that he'll be like, yes, let's make an egg sandwich. Eggs come from chickens. Chickens probably used to be dinosaurs. Who knows? And then he'll say, remember the chicken and the egg? Anyway, here's some bread. Bread comes from wheat. We've been growing wheat. And it's just like, he breaks down all these things that like you already know if you have kind of any sort of education at all.
Emily says like he's probably an alien who's like reporting back to the other aliens and like he's pretending to be a human. But he has like genuine fans, like hundreds, thousands of genuine fans.
Yeah.
And then the Your Mom's House because they showcased him and kind of teased him a bit, and then they have lots of fans, so they've jumped on, but are trolling him with love too.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Keep going, Mike. Thank you so much. I didn't know about egg sandwiches, and like no one's coming out and saying like, what, what's wrong with you, man? Are you
See, I can't tell if he's trolling.
If he is, he's a
genius.
master. Yeah,
he's a genius,
the absolute master. But he never gets to the point of live life. What's live life 365? It's healthy food. It's exercise.
Taking walks, and he does the thing that your mom does on FaceTime, where she's walking around
straight
the house.
Up the nostril.
It's straight up the nostril, and you're just like, you can either hold it up here but it's just great. It's just, is it a brand? Is it like? That's some amazing branding to go all in from 2007.
I think he's got over 1,000 videos.
Yeah.
And like, people are way
If I had my producer here, we'd look it up.
Yeah.
But,
no, I love him. Way to go, Mike. Like, you're awesome.
Yeah.
He's not hurting anybody.
Yeah.
And he's super fun to watch. I find myself watching his videos a couple times a week. Just think he's great.
Well, he's definitely bringing joy into people's lives like us, because we do make excuse me. Hello. We do make fun of him a little bit, and it's all love, baby. But
he's giving Jordan Peterson a run for his money,
and Tony Robbins. And what about the self-help culture, man? Like, that's I think that he was at least onto that, right? Like, he's like, oh, self-help is big.
It's like he saw a book in Barnes and Noble back in the day, and it said like, this is a self-help book, and he didn't buy it or even crack it, and then he went home and he was like, self-help book.
That's what I will do with my life.
This is what I will do. And then going off of that, but there is that one video where he sits down full lotus,
full fucking lotus,
just like with he doesn't even mention it. He's just
so casual.
And so if those of you who don't know, it takes you got to do yoga for
at least a year,
a minute, to just casually
plop into full
lotus with no groans or he just, I dare say, sashayed into full lotus. Like,
and that's my point.
Yeah, it's like, this dude really is onto something. I don't know.
Something else.
He doesn't seem like he does yoga all day, but
well, congrats and shouts to the Live Life 365.
Yeah.
And I mean, he has a point.
Yeah, you should
live life 365.
Yeah,
you definitely should.
You don't want to do 362, because then those 3 days are out the window.
I think I have at least 14 days out of the year that are just that I don't live life like that.
Yeah, I'm recalibrating the way I look at life. I think it was Sam Harris, maybe. Somebody put time in the scale of days recently, and sort of as I came out of my winter depression, I sort of a lot of my shit has been about like, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? Like, I
think you've got a pretty good thing going.
I do.
Just to interject,
I'm so lucky, and I'm really grateful that everybody buys my prints, and but I kind of I painted on stage with Spangel at the a Rainbow Serpent Festival in Australia a couple years ago in front of 30,000 people. And when I got off stage, I kind of like cried, because that was the most I ever wanted to do. Because I used to go to Camp Bisco and shit back in the day, and Spangel came along when I started smoking DMT, and it was just like, they're like,
Were you there for the first live band?
Oh yeah, I was
too.
at every Camp Bisco from 2006 through 12.
Nice, dude. We were in the same place.
Isn't that crazy? There were a lot of really cool people at it, but it's this rugged festival with no sculptures.
Ratchet, I think, would be a better word.
It's like fences and drugs and music. Get the fuck out here. Like, I love what the Disco Biscuits did, and it was the only place to see like really heady music in 2007-8. I saw Bass Nectar on the side stage in 2007.
R.I.P.
3 p.m. Yeah. So, Lauren. But no. So Spangel was the soundtrack of my life for like a long time. You know, the music's really good. Rajaram is a if for lack of a better word, a fine guide in life. If you ever get a chance to listen to him talk, he's awesome.
Yeah.
And he's a bit older, so you know. And then Simon's a really wonderful, sweet guy. And I was just starting to make art back then, and I was like, you know, these guys are my friends. I'm gonna be friends with these guys. And I know every crazed fan thinks that, like, but I did end up becoming friends with them, and I painted on stage.
By the way,
Yeah.
hold that thought. But if you're ever like, I'm going to be friends with so-and-so celebrity or so-and-so person that you look up to, the best way to go about doing that is to make your own shit, build something, and then have them notice you, or at least be in their like sphere of awareness, rather than DMing them constantly, or you know, just going full fanboy or fangirl on them, you know?
Yeah, make cool shit, and people will invite you to stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you should be worried about your own cool shit, and then after a while, it's like I forget the name of the book. I'm sorry. There's a really cool book about a monk who just wants to pray to Mother Mary, and he goes in this little shack on the top of a mountain, and he's just like, all he wants to do day and night is laser beam in to Mary and pray to her and pray to her. And they come, I'm really paraphrasing the shit out of this, but the years go by while he's having this experience, and like people are like, you know, someone wants to talk to you, you know, and he opens the door, and there's like a line of 1,000 pilgrims up the mountain to go
say what's
kiss
up.
the feet of this monk because he's famous for his piety. And he has no idea that that's been going on because he's been so keying his heart into God. And so I sort of feel, you know, that's how you get backstage, kind of. You just work on your own shit so much, and also be friendly, you know.
Yeah.
That's how I paid my way for the first few festivals where we vended and stuff.
Well, yeah.
And then after that first year, I just made so many friends because I was like, eyebrows up, you know, first date energy, like with everybody. I gave everybody my time, and that's where I made all my friends. And a lot of them have hookups, and then, you know, but it came from my art first. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Like if I just had,
if you were just out there,
I was just out there like,
hey, I'm Randall.
Like, yeah, you get a lot of places for being a nice guy, but I worked on my art.
But if you don't have anything to kind of give,
yeah,
even if it's just an image on a sticker or like, come look at this original painting that I have hanging in here.
Yeah,
you know, you can enjoy that.
Yeah, I worked on my shit for like 10 years in private with no friends.
Yeah.
And then when I met people like Android Jones and Kerry Thompson, all these old school killers,
yeah,
I was like, you know, guys, I've been clocking into work with you for 10 years, man. It's so cool to be standing here and give you a hug. And they were like, you are awesome, my son. You know?
They baptize you.
Yeah. But yeah,
vial.
So back then when I started painting and doing and merging art with my psychedelic stuff,
yeah,
which I want to put a caveat there and say that I now art is kind of expanding, and psychedelics are one piece of my whole life.
Right.
And art, I feel like you know, but for a long time, art and psychedelics were like sort of bonded.
It's like a materia in Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. And I was anyway, back then when I started, all I ever would have possibly hoped to do was paint on stage with Spangle, you know, and have people maybe buy enough prints off of me to pay my $350 roommate rent in Oakland, you know.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted. And then I got it, and that one night, and there's sort of this like thing that falls out of the bottom where you're like, oh shit. So
you have to find another.
Now what am I going to do?
Another North Star or something.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sort of looking for that. I don't quite know. Because you could conceive of a painting or even an artwork such as a cathedral, you know, something lasting. And none of that, you know what I mean? Like I
Doesn't
don't.
really hit the mark
Yeah, I
quite.
like
Yeah,
physically painting,
of course.
and I like making big paintings. If that means something for the people who are around after I'm dead, that's fine. But I think what I'm really looking for is like having a good day painting and being outside in nature, and like it's sort of weird. That's not really like a goal. It's just like a daily
It's like a
practice.
lifestyle or practice. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And like the goal used to be like make a banger painting,
Yeah,
and now my goal is to paint.
that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's like slippery because I don't want to lose
The bangers. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people like me because I painted Homer Simpson 10 years ago, and you know what I mean,
What?
like
Just kidding.
and I don't want to disappoint them
Right.
or go off on this like all expenses paid vacation of exploring my life while while people are like, oh, let's just give him money while he paints,
Oh, he's so brilliant.
I want to deliver cool
Right.
shit
Of
for
course.
people who
Of
support
course.
me.
Of
So
course.
but then that's a weird conversation that you have with this
It's
ambiguous group of
yeah.
people. What do you guys want to see,
Right.
you know
Right. Right.
and that's coupled with like I have extraordinary anxiety over commissions. I have
Well,
about
hang on.
yeah,
Hang on.
sorry.
So, what don't you like about commissions? Because from my point of view, if you're upfront and very communicative right off the bat, commissions are great,
Are
right?
they?
I think so.
You
So
like
you
seeing
have to
them?
be like, like, say someone comes up to you at a festival and they're like, "Oh man, I want to commission you for this work," and then they just go in about this trip that they had or whatever, and you're standing there for like 5 minutes. At like minute 2, you got to be like, "Hold up, hold up, hold up.
Yeah.
I'll do it. You got to keep it to 5 words or less.
Yeah.
You, some of them can be color. You can pick a color palette, and 5 words or less, and I will do my best."
Yeah.
And I got that actually from my producer, I mean, he took the day off today. I can't blame him. He's been working really hard. Shout out Mike Dempsey. But he told me that, and I guess he got that from a glass blower who I can't exactly pinpoint, and I don't want to misquote that. So, but I have found that to be very, very
Well,
effective.
that's the dream. Yeah, I grew up with this wonderful woman and her husband who run a really high end design company, and Dan and Kayleen in Beacon shouts. Dan told me, and this is the dream, and I've tried this one on people. It's loose here and there, but you say, okay, here's the rules. You give me 50% of the money up front. You don't give me any corrections, and when it's done, you either give me 50% and you get to have it, or you don't give me the 50% and we're done.
You don't give the money back. You don't get the original money back.
You don't get the half that you deposited back.
Right.
And I work on your shift for a month or whatever it takes, and then you either pay me at the end or we're done.
Right.
And they're able to do that because they do ads for Nike and shit, and they're relatively famous and shit. And I tried that with Marvel when I did that IMAX poster of Doctor Strange, and the guy was like, let me call my boss and see. And they wrote back, they're like, no, we're not doing that. And I was like, okay, I'll do it anyway, because it was like this huge job.
Yeah, exactly. It's Marvel.
Yeah, but that also, that took the last bit of life out of my lungs. It was
I remember you doing that.
I just fell apart in complete, utter panic attack because they did daily revisions on a painting. So, and it was so...
See...
I love Adam, and he had a lot of faith in me. He's a good dude, but I just don't work that way whatsoever. And they were like, can you move the eyebrow up an inch? Can you put the eyebrow back down the next day? I was doing shit like that.
So you're literally covering the canvas with paint and making corrections
right.
like
Take
that.
a photo, send it out to them. They would send it to Benedict Cucumber, and he would give corrections. And then the guy would tell me in the morning.
He would give corrections?
It's part of his contract. He doesn't let any images of him go out into society without his express approval.
Okay, so hang on. Anyone who's listening who has good Photoshop skills, who wants to fuck with Benedict Cumberbatch's face, I would invite you to do so at the risk of getting a cease and desist.
No, I was really, really
talking
honored
to you,
be
supercilious.
I was honored to be asked, but I wasn't I don't think I was the right person for the job. I'm not a designer.
Well, again, and this gets back to what we kicked it off with. See, Photoshop or Procreate would be a really useful tool in a situation like that.
They hired 5 artists all over the world to release this series of posters for the IMAX release of Doctor Strange, and the other guys were they were like comic book cover artists and shit. Their shit was so tight. And did you have a little imposter syndrome? Big time.
Yeah.
The guy was so cool, and he likes mushrooms, I assume. And maybe they asked Alex Gray, and he said no, but Randall will do it.
Hey,
I don't know why they asked me, but the guy was
phenomenon.
really, really nice to me, and they were really good to me. And,
yeah.
But by the last day, I was just shriveled. I worked on this shit.
I remember.
Yeah,
but tell
they needed
the
it in
listeners.
3 weeks. Most of the time, if I do a painting. I have 3 tiers of paintings. One that I do in a day, one I do in a week, and then the rest of them 6 months,
or less.
Yeah. And I was like, it usually takes me 3 to 6 months to do something this detailed.
Right.
And it's a portrait, which isn't my strongest.
It's hard to nail a portrait. Dude.
Yeah, and so they needed it in 2.5 weeks, and so I worked 15 hours a day on this portrait, and by the end of it, I was just literally all
shaking,
fucked up.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the piece, and I was just I can't do this, it was I just felt it just crumbled. And then the last day I had typed up an email that said, I am so sorry for wasting y'all's time. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Did you send it?
No. So Morgan, God bless my partner, she said, honey, why don't you work on it from lunch until dinner, and then if you really want to send that email, you can. And something clicked, and I was I got, because I lost his face throughout this. And when you're doing portraiture, it's so crazy to fucking drop an eye down, because then the whole face is unrecognizable. And you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
When they were giving me these corrections, I was like, dude, that's going to really mess this guy's face up. You can't unsquint eyebrows and shit,
But first of all, I have 2 points here. First of all, who looks at their face so much that they're like, nah, that's off? I don't really know what I look like. When I was looking at the Logan Walden video last week, I was like, man, I look fucking weird from the side, Shout out patrons. And the second point that I wanted to bring up was, I think this phenomenon will happen all the time, no matter what career you're in, at any time, especially if it's a gig kind of thing, like painters or arts and entertainment can be, is that when you said, oh, maybe they wanted Alex Gray, and then they were like, oh, but there's this dude Randall. He'll probably...
I've kicked people jobs that I don't want.
Exactly,
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Morgan kicked me a little thing at Darren Murphy's chiropractic practice.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
And thank you, Morgan, and thank you, Darren, and thank you, Kirstel, who bought literally all my canvas prints that I put up there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Big bumps. But but don't you think that'll always happen, right? I listen to comedy podcasts a lot, and some of those guys are trying to be actors, and they're like, oh, well, this guy didn't want it. So then why feel bad about that, right? I don't know.
What do you mean?
Maybe you didn't feel bad, but feel bad about
picking up.
Oh, well, so and so didn't want the gig, but now it's an opportunity.
That's crew, man.
Yeah.
I will always kick jobs to my friends. That's what our community of artists here in Colorado, especially.
Yeah.
But the visionary, for lack of a better term, international art family of there's some 2,000 of us now. we're all kind of looking out for each other. There's no, I've been to gallery. I used to hang out in this gallery in Oakland where the lady who ran it, she was cool. Her art was good. She had cool shows, but she was like,
a snake.
So yeah, she's like, did you see that fucking mural that guy? She's like, I've seen him do the murals every year. I can't believe he charged patrons to put their portraits in it, and I should go throw eggs at it. And she was just so. The art world has that part
for sure
where people are not having fun. We've figured out that
we've sacrificed money for a good time. I think.
No,
big,
I mean,
big.
When I say a lot of us are getting.
When I say money,
paid,
I mean big blue chip fucking.
Oh yeah, we don't even
black market weapons money.
The galleries aren't even. Yeah, big galleries aren't even we don't even exist to them.
Yeah.
But that's so. When I first moved to the Bay Area, I wrote to. I want to say 50 galleries. I wrote down 50 galleries in between Oakland, South Bay, and San Francisco.
Did you email them all?
I emailed every single one of them with images of my art, and I had no reply. This is in 2005.
Okay.
Not one of them replied, not even no thank you. And then a few of them I went in and gave them business cards and a print and said I would love to show here. Nothing. So back then, crickets. So then I was like, okay, well then what else can I do?
Yeah.
And then there was this huge art fair in Oakland, and I would go on the sidewalk and paint, and I come home with $1,000 in my pocket. I'm like, well, fuck the galleries. Yeah. I mean, so I think and all of us have more or less. There's a few cool galleries that are really supportive. Shouts to Ryan, shouts to Threda, shouts to Duluth, a few of the ones in LA. They're helpful. Think Space. Yeah. You guys have at least they have their eye on us. But and thank God for the heavy hitters like the Further Collective who are managing to get into that space, get on the cover of High Fructose, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Thank you for all that. I am going to sell my art off my little hot dog cart.
The hot dogs, yeah.
Yeah.
Go in on those, please.
Yeah. I like the hot dog cart.
This is a good analogy.
If you can literally, people do. They literally build a hot dog cart in their garage, plywood and a heated little
I've got one right here.
And then you can roll that shit out, and you can make $200 a day selling your hot dogs at a busy corner. And then you wheel it back home, you put it in the garage, and you sleep like a fucking baby. And nope, you don't necessarily have to. There's all this what should I do? You
just put the food in your mouth.
Yeah. And so I've sort of looked at my art and the way I sell it as just this sort of blue collar hot dog cart, or a coffee cart or whatever you want to call it. I may open a brick and mortar someday, but it's not a priority because I'm good with how I approach the sales. And you don't want to put your cart on an empty street or there's a few little
caveats,
things that go along with it, but you don't have to suck up to anybody you don't want to. I like the idea too of just making your own way, this radical self-sufficiency.
Sure.
And also some of that was when I first started making art, my art wasn't as good, and it wasn't good enough to sell. Sure. If your hot dogs are all wrinkled and your ketchup's all watery, so you gotta I said, I was like, okay, I have to make a few really killer paintings here.
Absolutely.
And then now the long-term goal is I'll just be 80 someday, I hope. It's about what is that? About
35 years?
Yeah, but it's about 16,000 days from now.
Okay.
I'll be 80. We skipped over that part. Well, no, the thinking of your life in terms of days.
Oh, okay.
20 years is about 8,000 days.
Tool made me think about
10,000 days.
Yeah.
That's
life that way.
That's 10 years, about more or less.
Yeah.
That's different than 20 years from now, whatever. But if you're 8,000 days from now, and so then tomorrow now is 7999.
Yeah.
Next day is 7998.
Ticking.
And so what if you had a list, a grid of those 8,000 days? This is what I want to do each day. And that sort of for me anyway, it gears away this ambiguous anxiety about like whatever's gonna come, and you're like, no, this is a very important,
Day.
very lucky day that I'm here, and I have electricity and hot water, and you know what I mean. Like, this day is awesome. Like,
Right.
why waste one of those days hating people online, hating your neighbor, hating yourself? Like, it's such a fucking complete waste. Like, it's an emergency that you enjoy each one of those days.
Yeah.
And I like, sort of, as I said, like, sort of as I came out of this sort of dark winter, I'm like, man, we got to go for it. We also got a dog who is like the love of my life. And I realized if we're lucky, he lives for about 4,000 days.
Yeah.
And dogs they have such short time that they go for it every day. They go.
Yeah. They
He
go
runs
hard.
up that hill in our backyard, and I'm like, and because I think either just genetically or evolution wise,
Yeah.
he just knows. He's my literal guru, man. Love that dog.
Well, that's a beautiful way to frame your life, right?
Yeah.
Because instead of being like, well, I've got, 40 more years or whatever it is, 40 is obviously it's a lot lower than however many days you have, but there's something about like how fast the days move and they just tick off like crazy, especially as you get older. I mean,
they become a smaller percentage of your overall life.
Exactly,
so
yeah.
every year does
It
literally seem faster.
Yeah, and like,
yeah,
man, that really, I'm gonna have to, I guess, sit with that for a little bit, because it's, really, because some days I'm not feeling it, whatever. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fuck off or do whatever, maybe not paint.
No, but if you frame it as like I'm taking a recuperation day,
that's fine.
Then that's like actually a dope way to spend. I do horror movies. I stay in my pajamas. I watch like back to back to back horror movies. I've always loved horror movies.
Yeah.
And I sort of think of it as like my like goth day or the Cure. You know what I mean? I'll wear like a black hoodie and I'll just sit on the couch and I'm like, hot chocolate or fucking whatever junk food or something, and I'm like, I'm having a recuperation day.
I'm having a day.
Yeah, and I'll just go and watch like old horror movies, like especially shit from the 90s and 80s.
Well, and I think that like,
and that's but you take your depression and put it in a little box, and then
it's
you're
over.
Reborn, and then it's over instead of the same like gaseous horror cloud around you.
Yeah,
where you don't know, you're like, I gotta do something about this.
Yeah. And to bring it back to, I gotta go reset the video.
Do you think the vape will sound too loud on the microphone?
Nah. Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah. I used to smoke cigarettes for what? Since I was 14 years old. I smoked about at least a pack a day. So don't give me shit about the vape. Also,
okay.
like
we're on a podcast.
Yeah.
No, go for it.
No, I think that vaping is really important for people. I was able to quit smoking cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
Cigarettes are actually disgusting to me now, and for a huge portion of my life, they were the first thing, like in the morning, and the last thing before bed at night.
Yeah.
And I'm old enough where it's like, it's not James Dean anymore, man. It's not cool.
Yeah.
But I was also very addicted to them, and so I'm really grateful that technology has brought us vaporizing.
On the flip side of that, I'll say, as someone who really never smoked cigarettes, I'm now vaping. So just don't do that. Don't do what I did.
This whole idea of like, oh, the children, these like 13-year-olds are all vaping. Well, they would huff fucking dust off or sniff.
I did that a few times.
Yeah, you put white out in a plastic bag. Remember that in 7th grade?
Fire.
Yeah, and you'd smell it and get a head rush. Like,
Liddy.
They need to figure out what makes young teenagers want to rebel and fuck their body up, and not
I
this or do a proactive approach instead of this like after the fact thing, and get rid of all vapes for all of the smokers in the world that
yeah
want to quit. Like,
yeah, and I honestly
I don't
think that,
know.
like, 1 in 4, whatever children in a family's genetic line is gonna have the rebel gene,
Yeah.
and whether or not it gets turned on depends on early childhood experience. Blah blah blah. I'm not a doctor, but I think there's really no way to solve that other than being like, you know what, kid, we don't care that much, but we're still gonna admonish you.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna
Well, you're
have
not
this
gonna stop.
puritanical
Yeah, dude.
fucking
You're not gonna
thing
stop
about it.
mailbox baseball by taking away all the baseball bats.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, kids
Absolutely.
need to smash shit, and sometimes they need to
And by
smash.
kids, we mean like humans in
Yeah,
general,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Everybody's got to go through a weird teenage phase where you drink too much or whatever. You do dangerous shit.
Mhm.
It's awful. I hope for that we get global therapy and support to raise solid people who don't have to experience heroin and all these horrible things. But in the meantime, again, like going after the after effects isn't the way. We
Yeah.
need to go in from the underground
The
and
cause.
raise people that don't want to do heroin,
Right.
kids that don't want to smoke cigarettes. How do you do that?
Good
You know
point.
what I mean?
Yeah. I wanted to make a point. I think before I turned the video on again, I wanted to say that in the art world, in whatever field you're going in, right? You're going hard in, you have to have a lot of self awareness, self knowledge, right? Because for your metaphor of the hot dog stand,
Yeah.
which I love, by
Yeah.
the way, it's a great, and you can scale that up or down depending on your self awareness of your own ambition.
Mm-hmm.
And like, again, take everything that anybody says with a grain of salt, because without self-awareness, if you're just like, oh yeah, I'm going to do the hot dog stand, and you find yourself, in the middle of a field painting, and you're like, this isn't for me, then, I mean, fuck, dude, do something else. Try something else.
Well,
But don't take a shit on other people's hot dog stands.
yeah. Don't. Yeah, haters gonna hate, but it's a waste of time. Um, Chris Dyer, our friend, the artist, he said a long time ago, like to me, like, you're a creative person, so all your creativity doesn't end on the canvas. Get creative about how you're gonna make money. I for years, I got up every morning and I'm like, how am I gonna make money on art today? Like, that's a huge shift. You don't just make art and then they produce a jeweled carpet to your door and people start lining up to buy it.
Yeah, no one owes you shit.
No one owes you shit.
Yeah.
You have to make your stuff enticing, and I think be also, be friendly. Like, I don't know, yeah, I mean, don't kiss anyone's butt, but
Sure.
but like, yeah, just make it so you can't be denied, like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
That's the thing. Like, if you're not working all the time on your craft, and then you expect someone to hand out something to you, and they don't, and you get pissed off, you have to take a little bit of responsibility
Yeah.
for that.
Well, get smart about it. So, like, let's say you're not very good at drawing in a traditional way. You suck at portraits, landscape skills aren't that. So, but maybe you're really good at doodling with a Sharpie, which is one of my favorite things to do, doodling on paper. So, how can you take a Sharpie doodle and make it so that people stop in their fucking tracks?
Yeah.
Maybe do an 80-foot wall of tiny Sharpie doodles. Take a month to fill up that wall, and then you take where you're at, your skill level, and you make something that people go, holy shit! Like, I'm like
about
They're
it.
not going to walk by my fucking paintings. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you can even take the most rudimentary, unskilled artwork, but you can think about it in a way and go, how am I going to get people to stop in their tracks when they look at my art?
Right.
And that was the solution for me. I kind of paint kind of cartoony. I'm decent at fine art stuff. I'm decent at portraits.
Yeah.
I can if I really try. But I also, my solution was like, make big paintings that are hyper detailed, and just make them so crazy that if someone walked in front of it, they would
That you can't fuck with it. You
they'd have
can't
to
deny
stop.
it.
Yeah. And then that was my solution to I'm not very good.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that worked. So you have to think about your art not just from this angle, but from other angles too. And I dare say, no matter what you're doing, if you plan that out and get it right, you'll be successful. You can't be denied, as we say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, what makes you tick? Do you think?
God, I don't know.
Have you ever thought about that?
No,
That's something that I wrestle with.
Stop me in my tracks with that.
That's what I'm doing with the podcast. It's like maybe I'm not very smart, but I know a few questions that'll make people stop for a second.
Well, it's super weird and interesting to be here at all, to be
conscious, human.
Yeah. Like you, I've been meditating pretty much every day for the last 3 or 4 years.
I fell off the fucking wagon.
Take a break, man. It's all good. No pressure. But fire up Sam Harris's app, or get you reminders. I was like dismissing the reminders for like 2 weeks. I'm like, no. But I meditated this morning, and
because you knew you were coming here.
Yeah. So what makes you tick is that that was why. So we're part of this amazing experience of simply being here. There's something of what it's like to be Andrew and be here. There's something that happens when you look up at the night sky. And I don't know if cicadas feel that. I don't know if the river feels that, but we humans do, for whatever reason, for good or bad, for because of evolution, who knows. But mirroring the universe back to itself through our witness and consideration seems to be one of the most important things the universe has ever produced. That may be kind of self-centered and solipsistic, but like the universe is this just balls of rock and fire, and it's where chemistry and physics meet each other, and you get all these beautiful, huge oceans of ice on the moons of Jupiter, and you get I don't know, the whole fish fight in the ocean, and stars and
fish fight,
redwood trees, rainbows, sex, all of it.
Right.
All of that stuff, without you being there to experience it,
what is it?
It's not there.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I, kind of name my website "All of This Is for You." It's a point of like consideration that if God exists, or rather, let's put it another way.
Yeah.
Like the whole universe is just fire and brimstone, to use a biblical term. And then the only thing that makes it all worthwhile is human love and human witness. Like two humans hugging under the stars. You take the humans away, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if squirrels are producing the appropriate mirror for the universe to see itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know what the reason is. Maybe reason's not the right word, but there is for lack of a better word, reason why human consciousness is at center stage right now on the planet Earth, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we don't know what that means. Like, God, no God, whatever. Like, we're here, spotlight's on us, and
And in us.
sure, yeah,
We
yeah,
are the spotlight.
yeah, and that's the point, right? Is that
I know. I really wish we would either confirm or deny life on other planets, because it does seem like the whole fucking thing is for us to be here
right?
witnessing it.
Yeah.
Which is very arrogant.
But it's also like no
But-
pressure, guys. But
Yeah.
you're the only conscious being. If you're the only conscious being in the universe, that's a lot of fucking pressure, man. You know?
Well, not really. I think just slowing down and witnessing it is like all you can do. And that does make me tick. At the very least, be like, hey, this is the coolest party I've ever heard of, and it's happening in your head. And yeah, walking in the woods amongst spring flowers and just like understanding that rain and stardust is all part of it, and that we're on this crazy spinning ball that's hurtling through space at 35,000 miles an hour is fucking, it's so beautiful that if we focused on it all day, we would be immobilized in,
Right.
in
Right,
tears
right,
of joy. So like, yeah, that makes me tick. I'm really happy to be here, and I don't want to do any harm with that. But then I think there's this whole operation of evolution happening where I'm just like a scared surviving monkey.
Right.
That
Yeah.
kind of
Sure.
makes me tick. Yeah.
So
I'm
there's several things.
Yeah, I'm girl crazy. I love girls. they make me something. Oh
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's a good answer.
yeah, I'm excited about making my response to all of this craziness is like to make it a little more pretty than I left it. So I leave paintings behind. It's the best I can do.
Yeah.
I'm not robbing people in alleyways. I'm not trying to fuck over some other group for money. And good luck to all of you who are doing that shit.
I don't think any of them are listening.
Yeah.
But that kind of brings something that I wanted to talk about earlier. So the very first song on Bo Burnham's new special. I don't know. I wanted to go into this with you. This is kind of like the only sort of plan that I had for this podcast.
Well, we're both huge fans. You turned me on to him a few years ago.
Yeah.
And he just came out with that
killer
so
masterpiece. I'm sure you've seen it on all your social media channels, but if you haven't, you need to check out Bo Burnham. His new comedy special called Inside. He shoots it all by himself in his own room. And I mean, it is, I think, probably the pinnacle of art that I've seen in a long time.
It's a dope commentary on simply being quarantined.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Bo Burnham's he's pretty fucking smart.
But obviously,
so
obviously, man. I mean, he basically made this before he was 30, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has a little skit about him being 30 as he's making the thing. But what I wanted to get back to is like he says, something along the lines of like, I'm metaphorically and literally helping the world through comedy. I'm paraphrasing. I'm fucking butchering it.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But that's kind of how I feel about art. And I think that that's how most artists sort of have to either brush up against or intrinsically feel that way about their own art, is that they're helping in this small way that they can't see the butterfly effect of,
Yeah, well, that's the carrot in front of the donkey. You
Sure.
You solidify a personal mission, and you don't take yourself too seriously at the same time.
Yeah.
So you're like, I will make paintings to my best of my ability to make the world a better place, and also I suck, and God help me.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like with some you can't go out in like white linen robes and on the front of a, a boat and say like my art is fixing
Saving
everything.
the world.
Yeah, no, but you make art. You do what you can to help. You know what I mean? Like it's sort of the career equivalent of like at least don't litter or something. I don't know. Like,
do you think making art is a rebellious act?
Can be, yeah.
I think kind of intrinsically it is.
Yeah.
Because, well, at least in the society that we live in now, right?
Society.
We live in a society. But no, genuinely, no snark, no sarcasm. We get messaged at since childhood, since, maybe late childhood for some of us, that art is not a viable really way to live in the world. And I think that's changing.
Well, that's fucking crazy because all money, cash money, is art, literally artwork.
Yep.
And money makes the world go round. At the fucking center of this
But no
thing,
one ever tells you that. No one ever says that.
Well, somebody drew the pictures on that shit, and that shit is running everything. And at the heart of the thing that's running everything is literally artwork. Or every building in Manhattan, in Rome, began as a drawing, son. Art is fucking underneath everything.
I agree.
Everything. And I'm proud to participate in it.
Hell yeah. Same.
Every coat, these sunglasses, this phone, their first physical representation in
imagination
this world
and art
was fucking drawings.
Yeah.
So don't give me that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like art's super important. But having a career as an artist is definitely against the grain of like get a job at a factory, participate in the military, become a police officer. These are solid jobs, right? Like, you want to, if you can't hack it in college, go to these 3
be a
endeavors that people have done forever. If you have kids and you want to have a safe bet, go to the army and get the free college education, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
So being an artist is rebellious to that, and without tooting our own proverbial horns, it's on the brave side, or at least the foolish jump off the diving board side. So it is rebellious in that way. Like no one in your family, your uncle's not going to sit you down on Thanksgiving and say like, I think you should starve for 5 years and try to make it with art.
Definitely not.
Yeah,
definitely not.
But if you're smart and you work hard, it's not that crazy. Yeah.
The whole intelligence thing is a tough one to wrestle with, right? I
super hope that like you and our friends aren't like
really dumb.
Some of this. No, I hope we're not some of the smartest
people.
people.
Yeah, that's scarier.
Because
actually,
like sometimes it seems like we're in the top 10% of the world, and that's super scary.
I don't know. Like I always have to sell myself short on intelligence, like just natural intelligence, because
I'm so stupid.
There's there's the intelligence of like self-preservation, and I think that at first, at least when you're an artist, you kind of have to kick that out the door, unless you've been groomed and come up through the right schools and get into the right galleries, right? Like for you and me, who started in our mid to late 20s, right? Or you started when you were 30.
I made my first painting when I was 29, finished it when I was 30.
Yeah. Like that, technically, most people wouldn't think that that's a smart move, right?
I know. When I went to my boss at IBM, I worked at IBM all through my 20s.
They've listened to the other podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I went in. He's a nice guy. I was like, I need to cash out my 401k. I'm getting out of here, and I'm gonna go make art. And he was like, okay, are you sure? And he's like, are you okay?
He's like, are you fucking with me?
He knew like my girlfriend and I were breaking up. We were friends, and he was like, all right, man, if you're sure, here's the paperwork, like, but he was concerned. He actually called me like a month later. He's like, you doing all right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like,
The
yeah,
HR person at Whole Foods did that to me.
yeah.
They were like,
Well, I also think
same with my football coach when I
yeah,
quit football.
yeah.
He was,
He's a pretty
this is a
square
funny
dude
joke
too,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's a manager at IBM.
Sure,
so
sure.
it's like it is really foreign. We were in a bar one night, and we were playing pool with some
Yeah, yeah.
strangers. These two guys, really cool guys,
Uh-huh.
with Morgan's family or whatever. And we had a few games of pool, rounds of beer. We were buying each other beers, and it's like, so after a while, it's like, hey, what do you do, man? Oh, I'm a veterinarian. The other guy, I forget what he was, but they were like, what do you do? And I said, I'm a psychedelic artist. And the
record screeched to a
yeah, the
halt.
one guy he looked at me. He said, we were on couches, and he goes, what the fuck is that? And it really hurt. But I realized, like, I might have told it, like, I'm a golf ball polisher, like he's like, he had no idea. So this thing that's very normal for me, like, freaked him out. He was mad at me, for a minute.
How so?
He just seemed.
He's like, I didn't
He's like,
know you could do that.
Yeah.
It was like almost something like, how have I not heard of this?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It hit him so left field. I think if I'd even said artist, he'd be like, what shook. But I prefaced it with psychedelic artist, and he was like, he was just like, nope, no,
Doesn't exist.
No. Yeah. Some people don't like pineapple on pizza. You know what I mean? But yeah, so we're really lucky to be beloved by a very small group of awesome weirdos and supported. But I think we're real fringe, like our scene.
Oh, for sure. We think that we're like,
yeah.
just because we have the attention of X amount of thousands of people, we're like, people care. It's like,
well, when we did
something. By the way, I want to get back to.
Sure.
I want to tell my joke. Okay.
Okay, by all means.
It's kind of along the same lines of what we were just talking about, but when I went to the old football coach in high school, between my junior and senior year, and I was like, yeah, this definitely isn't for me. He did this thing where
were you good at football?
I was good. I could catch and throw.
Yeah.
I wasn't super fast.
Yeah.
But I was tall. I was a big target.
Yep.
He did this thing. He kind of like, crossed his leg like in a square, kind of like
yeah.
like your dad does or whatever. And he goes, I know a lot of guys who quit. Right? I gotta tell you something. They regretted it every single day of their life afterwards. First
what,
of
were
all,
you like 15 years old?
No, I was like 17. I was, and I gotta say, man, every single day of my life after that, I have not regretted it at all. And shouts to Coach Harmon. He was a great guy, very chill. But
it's good when they make it easy for you like that.
But yeah. I mean, like, here's the thing, man. That's self-awareness, right? To get back to my little soapbox here. It's like, if you're doing something that isn't for you, why keep doing it? And the thing about it is, like,
family pressure.
If you have enough self-awareness, you're able to make that decision in a more aligned way with who you are, I guess. Shit, I forgot what we were talking about besides that.
Well, yeah, self-awareness, I guess. I was just going through the motions and doing what people told me to do all through my 20s. And then I had in combination with doing psychedelics with my friends in the woods and shit, and driving down off the mountain with these, like, campfire epiphanies. Something did click for me hard, where I was like, oh shit, this is your only life. I don't want to work in a factory.
Yeah. And
I think a lot of people don't get kicked in the head like that.
Right.
And so they're just like, well, I'll just, good girlfriend.
Yeah. And like,
go Go to
I
the
always
club,
think about
you know?
this a lot. Like, okay, there's hard work, right? And we all know that hard work fucking pays off. If you can work hard, eventually, it'll pay off,
Put it
right?
in brackets.
But exactly,
If that were true,
that's
every
that's
Mexican with a leaf blower would be a millionaire, as Bill
true,
Maher
true,
said.
true. But and that's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm getting to, is that like there is so much happenstance and luck in life
For sure.
where like you just you just happen to get hit with that beam of light, or you just happen to see whatever your conscious mind state led you to see that turtle in the clearing of the woods just plodding along, and you're like, that turtle's a lot like me, and then this cascade of thoughts just kind of like hits you,
and
it's
you're
like,
lucky to
and you
to
had
have it.
nothing to do with that
Yeah.
as an ego or as a self, right? I think about that probably way too much.
Well, this is why good people, to paraphrase them, hippies, are like kind of holding the world together, because running into good people really hooked me up. And it's that sort of like,
Definitely. Like,
yeah,
okay, and I want to shout out you a little bit, because like people like you and Morgan and Jack and just people who and David and Aloria who saw me in my nascent stages as an artist, and were like, come here, buddy, like like that is so important to my career trajectory, to who I am as an artist in general. I mean, you just can't discount all those little things of chance that seem to happen where you meet the right person.
Well,
or
we're
whatever.
living testaments to the power of being kind.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if we ran into nothing but mean, dumb people who said we shouldn't make art,
we probably wouldn't.
Yeah. But we were really lucky to run into really nice people who make art. Bono from U2, I got hit with a quote from him way back in the day before I started making paintings, but it really flipped my shit. And he said, if I make art and you make art, we're close together because we're close to the art. So we're family, is how I read that. And that just blew my mind. I'm like, wow, I want to be in
this family,
Da Vinci's family.
and exactly like that's a big part of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, belonging to a group.
Yeah.
Right? Or
yeah.
just like feeling like you're a part of a community.
Yeah, we all do. And
Yeah.
unfortunately for some people, that community are like street kids who stab people for their wallets in Puerto Rico, like,
Sure.
we're very, very lucky that we didn't end up in one of the shitty families.
Absolutely.
It is luck, maybe. I don't know.
I think a lot of it's luck in it, but again, like,
a lot of it's a desire, again, to make the world a better place, though, too. Like, don't.
where does
the
that
whole
come
baby
from,
out.
though? Where does that come from?
Yeah.
Happenstance. Like the fact that you either were taught by your parents, or you have the quote unquote right genes to kind of like
My mom
grok that like helping
Yeah.
people is a good thing.
My mom put all of my drawings on the refrigerator. Since
Hell
I
yeah,
was
my dad
3 years old.
My dad framed this drawing that I made all through second grade with markers.
Yeah. And then our whole living room wall is full of. And you know what? My brother can draw, and my sister can. We're all badass. My brother's better artist than me and you put together, but he doesn't do it. He
Doubt
doesn't-
that.
Yeah,
No,
he's
go-
fucking
I'm
fucking badass. But lots of people grow up in a house where, for whatever reason, dad's way into baseball, and he comes home from work and sees you drawing at the kitchen table, and then when you leave, he crumples it up and puts it in the garbage. That happens in a lot of households.
Yeah.
So we did our rock fell down the hill and
The
bounced
right
and bounced
way.
and bounced and then landed in the river, baby. We were really, really lucky that that all of these little things happened to steer us. Since we don't have free will,
Hey,
yeah,
my guy.
yeah, you can't pinpoint any one part, and if you do, it's all a gift from someone else of how you arrived at being an artist,
And that's why we make art.
and that's why you make
To
art.
give it
yeah, to give it to
On
someone
down
else.
the line. Pass it down.
Yeah, if your pinball comes my way, I want to bounce you toward the high score, man.
Hell yeah.
Rather than fuck your pinball up. What kind of asshole thinks that way?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Some assholes do.
Yeah.
I'm going to reset the camera.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody, for your patience on this.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we only have 30 minutes left
Okay.
on the audio.
Well, this is really fun, man. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks. Thanks for being here,
Hey.
as Mr. John Speaker would say.
Thanks for being here.
Shout out, John.
Shout out John Speaker. We just had dinner with him and met his sister and her husband last night. It's
Nice.
great. Yeah.
Is it weird when people are like, hey, I know you? Does that ever weird you out? Like, I've learned that, okay, look, I'm not famous in any kind of way, but some guy the other night in a bathroom of all places was like, oh,
always
man.
a comfortable introduction.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, dude.
Shout out. I don't know if he wants me to say his name. I know his name. He actually makes really dope art. So shout out Zach. But yeah, at first I was like, I don't know how to take this, because he was like, oh, you're the artsy AF guy, man. Cool. And I don't know. Maybe I'll cut this part. But yeah, how do you deal with that when people are like, Robert?
Yeah, people get my name wrong a lot. I don't know what that's about. Like, it's pretty clearly, like, I'll do an email and then say thanks, Randall, at the bottom, and then their reply will start with Dear Robert. And I know I have two first names. You know what's funny? I grew up with a bunch of guys who all have first name. Like, my best
double
buddy
first names.
Yeah, Jay Harvey was like my buddy growing up, and we were like the first name bunch.
Yeah.
I don't know why that happens, but I do really. I can't fucking believe it when people recognize me, and it brings it's like bubbles of joy inside my stomach that happens. When I first moved to Boulder, I was at a red light in my truck, and these girls fly up to me and Morgan, and they look over and they go, "You're Randal Roberts! You're fucking awesome!" and peel away, you know? And that just made my whole week. I can't believe people know who I am. But then we're not like, you know, again, small group of really nice weirdos all over the world. Like,
love them. And don't you think weird is a compliment? To me, it means like that you're interesting and different and fun.
Yeah. Why would you want to? What's the antonym for weird?
Square, normal.
Normal.
I'm normal.
I mean, some people find strength in being normal, but
we got off on a weird tangent.
Yeah, sorry. Let's bring it back. Being recognized. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't happen that often, but I love it. I'm so honored that anybody would take a minute to give me a high five. And,
absolutely.
Thank you very much for looking at my art. Thanks for looking, as always.
What's the most memorable response to either seeing, I mean, you just kind of told us one, to either seeing you or seeing your work? Have you is there something there that you can pull out of the ether that you remember?
In 2012, right around when Occupy was really kicking off, I lived in Oakland, and Occupy was, as you may remember, really going on there.
Yep.
And I made the anonymous fox painting during that time. And I was really going for it on a lot of levels, you know, if that makes sense.
It does.
And I met Jen Ingram, who runs Tribe 13.
Shouts.
And they were doing the Bicycle Day celebration at 1015 Folsom, a cool club in San Francisco. And she invited me to put a painting in, and I had just finished that one. And it was, I was very proud of it. And it was also current. And there was, 2012, the whole Mayan calendar vibe was riding with us that whole year. It just, 2012 felt, we were talking about this with another friend, some years feel like they're not happening, and then other ones are big years. 2020, I would say, is a big one. 2012 was one of the...
Do you feel like 2017 was a big year for some reason?
more so than 14, 15, 16.
Yeah.
Where are those? But then 17 comes along,
like,
and you're like, wow, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This
gotcha,
sort of vibe.
yeah.
So 2012 was one of those years.
Yeah.
And I was really I was making rent on art, and I had this painting, and there was a whole kerfuffle with fucking. I bring the painting 3 p.m. to the show that starts at 7, and Jen goes, "Nice to meet you, honey." She looks and she's like, "The painting's awesome, but it's not framed." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know we're
we're
supposed
doing
to have
frames back then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Don't worry." I'll go get a frame. And I take a fucking cab with my friend all over San Francisco to different frame shops. And I find one, this is like 6:30 p.m. There's a bargain bin box with this elegant silver hardcore for custom made frames.
This is where your love of shopping for frames comes from.
Yeah. I'm addicted to it
Yeah.
now. So I had the measurement written down. And I'm like, no way, because it's like maybe $1,000 frame. It's in this bargain box, and it was like
and
40
what
bucks.
was the size of the paint? It was like a weird size, right? Or?
Yeah, 28 by 22. So that's not like a standard
No,
one.
not at all.
And I bust out the tape measure, and I'm like, no way. I bring it up. That'll be $40. And I go in the cab with my friend, and we go back, and I run in, and people are lining up to do the show. Now, Bicycle Day, especially that one, is a really amazing event put on by my now friends, where Alex Gray was there. That's where he and Mars one did that guy drinking the vial painting. It was that night. And I knew Alex for a long time, but I was just getting to know all the California guys. So I run in, I put the frame, and it's like on this one main wall, right? And then the show starts. So that was also the night I met Android and Carrie Thompson,
Nice.
2 heroes of mine, like forever. And I told them, "Hey, I've been working underneath the moonlight. I've been clocking in with you guys." And they walked over and they were like, "Dude," but gave me this. Carrie's a really big guy. They just bear hugged me, and they're like, "Welcome to the show, man." And I also all night there's a sort of, that place is multi-leveled. It's a really cool spot. Yeah,
it's dope.
So we were hanging out up on this banister, and selfishly, embarrassingly, I kind of kept checking in and like watching the crowd.
Yeah.
And all night, my painting had 100 people in a crescent around it.
Nice.
And it made me cry. I was there with my best friend John Ohia, shouts, and it was like I don't know, one of those moments, man. That painting, it was lit up from the inside. Like, I don't really look. I suck. My art sucks. So take this with a grain of salt. Not true. But for that night, whatever, with the theme of the night, everyone being on a high level of what it was at, the painting was like glowing from the inside, and other people saw it, and I saw it, and I was like, holy shit, I'm doing it, man. I made one. This is a good one. Yeah, it's one of the best nights of my life. And then I took the painting on the train and went back home. And, it's funny sitting there with this, like,
immaculate
afterglow. Yeah, and I'm just leaning on it on the seat, all crusty and tired at 3 a.m. or whatever it was. Yeah, but yeah, that was like my favorite. I met a lot of people I really admire. I met Mark Henson was there, I think. Stanley Mouse was there.
Oh wow.
Roman Villagrana, Amanda Sage,
Legends.
Jonas Jones. Yeah, there were so many cool people there, and it was the first time I ever hung out with everybody. It was fucking perfect night, kind of.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
my friend from Maps gave me acid.
So it was the good shit.
It was too much. It was way too much. Yeah.
300 mics. Well, I think this is a good place to wrap up, man. We're at about an hour 40 right now.
Okay.
I love you so much. Do you have any parting words? Any advice? We've covered a lot, man.
Yeah. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. And let's all just say that to each other as much as you can remember to.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Randall.
Yeah, love you, buddy. You're
Love
the best.
you too, man. Boom. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you.
Thank you. Allofthis.com
next time. Thank you again for listening to another episode of RTAF Podcast. If you are interested in supporting the Patreon, that address is patreon.com/RTAF Podcast. And I want to thank all my patrons. You guys keep this engine running. I couldn't do it without you. Go over there and check out the tiers I have available. It includes video, guest suggestions, patron-only posts, and some merchandise. Thank you again for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe. Do all those little things that help get RTAF into the consciousness of more and more people. Shout.